What are the greatest problems facing our marine environment, and what can people do to mitigate them? Well, all the problems facing the marine environment come about because there are just too many people consuming too much stuff. So, whatever we can do to reduce the amount of everything that each of us uses and uses up, I think is always really valuable for all environments of this planet. In terms of the marine environment, I think something that could really also help the marine environment is people getting to know the oceans better, the seas better. Once they feel like our world too, I think it would make everyone much more caring, much more aware of the problems they face, and wanting to make those changes in their lives to have that effect on a positive marine environment. What do you think could be done to reduce ocean pollution? Well, ocean pollution doesn't happen in the ocean. It always happens on land. So it's about controlling the way we live our lives. And I think that's something that's increasingly important that we do. It's important to remember that even as individuals, we can make a really big difference. Ultimately, the world is made up of individuals, and the more individuals that change their ways, that are careful about the way they live their lives, the better the whole planet will be. And we are one planet. It's not just about the ocean. The ocean and the earth is one system, and we need to do our best to look after it. What is the most common source of pollution you see when you're out diving? Well, the most obvious source of pollution that you see in the ocean is plastic pollution, because plastics take so long to degrade that plastic is just all there and visible all the time. But actually, what worries me more about the ocean are the changes we can't see. You can't see that water is warmer than it should be, that global warming is affecting life all around the world. It's hard to see that. Can't see warm water. You can't see fish not being there from overfishing. So yeah, plastic pollution is what you see with your eyes, but it's often what you don't see, the fact that there aren't the big predators, there aren't teeming schools of fish when you're underwater, which are actually the things that we should be really concerned about. Where on the planet have you seen the most change to the underwater environment since you started taking photographs? It's a good question, and there is change everywhere. As humans, though, we can easily fall into the trap that conservationists call shifting baselines, where you really don't trust your memories of 15, 20 years ago, and you don't notice the change that's going on below you. And it's why scientific studies are so important, because their actual solid data really reveals these changes. However, as an underwater photographer, there are big changes all over the ocean that you see. Certainly the amount of plastic and other litter in the ocean is ever increasing. The lack of big animals is really shocking. And there was a scientific study very recently saying that, sharks have dropped to by 71% from their population levels just a few decades ago. And that's definitely something that you see as an underwater photographer out there in the field. Are there any particular locations that you would consider to be good examples of a pristine marine environment? Well, I guess sadly, to be honest, I've probably never seen a completely pristine part of the ocean. Sadly, although the oceans are huge, the impact of 8 billion people living on this planet is also really far reaching. So I've never seen a properly pristine environment. What excites me most are actually the parts of the ocean that are really improving. Places that are given proper protection as properly enforced marine protected areas and are bouncing back in an incredible way. For example, the Lundy Marine Conservation Zone was the first one set up in the UK. And there, within just a few years, the number of lobsters, increased 8 or 9 times. The Lamlash Bay up in the Isle of Arran in Scotland, again, that was introduced as a marine protected area. And their species numbers boomed sort of 400% for some species. We really can make a difference by protecting the ocean. We just need to protect a lot more of it. There are a lot of negative messages about the state of our natural world. As someone who's constantly immersed in it, have you encountered anything recently that's given you hope? Well, I think the big area for hope, certainly in the oceans, is that we properly protect parts of the ocean. We allow those areas to be completely free of negative impacts so that they can restore themselves to their natural state. Perhaps it might involve some rewilding in terms of active intervention, but overall it's about giving the marine environment a chance to proliferate. And what we see all around the world is whenever we do properly protect the ocean, it bounces back particularly well. And that isn't just good for the ocean, it's good for all of us, because a healthy ocean does everything we want it to so much better.